3147.
Madam Speaker, as I have already stated previously in this House, the draft Freedom of Information Bill submitted by the Attorney General's Office is being examined at the level of my office. In my statements, I also highlighted the complexity of this exercise, given the numerous and far-reaching implications of this piece of legislation, ranging from constitutional to public interest issues, impact on the working procedures of the public service, preservation of sensitive commercial information, cost implications, amongst others. I also mentioned the need to draw inspirations from the best practices in other jurisdictions so as to avoid any pitfalls or negative unintended consequences. But at the end of the day, the law has to be homegrown and adapted to our local context, taking into account our local realities, including the required resources and its impact on public service delivery. Hence, the need to proceed with great care and caution. Madam Speaker, this exercise of internal examinations of the bill is ongoing, and once completed, all stakeholders will most certainly be consulted prior to its introduction into the National Assembly.
Yes, Madam Speaker, we agree on the complexity and far-reaching implications of the bill, but at the same time, the House will recall that answering to a PQ in 2016, the then Honourable Prime Minister informed the House that the draft bill, a first working draft bill, has been circulated in-house. So it's been almost 3 years now that a first draft bill has been circulated. Therefore, can I ask the Honourable Prime Minister, why is it taking that long, 3 years, and also what is the time frame for finally to be circulated publicly?
Well, Madam Speaker, let me first of all express my satisfaction that we agree that it is a very complex piece of legislation. Very complex, so much so that in 2000, replying to a question from the opposition, because we were in government, MSM at that time, the then acting Prime Minister said, and I quote, "I can assure the House, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that we mean business. Legislation to provide the necessary framework for better access to information will be introduced at the opportune time, and in that context, I have been informed that a bill had already been prepared and had been submitted to the former government, but there had been no action taken on that piece of information." I don't want to quote other parts of the answer. That was on the 31st of October 2000. Now, that previous government in which I was a member did not come up eventually with a Freedom of Information bill. Because, as we say, it's rightly so, it is a very complex issue. It has to be looked at very carefully, and especially in the light of what has happened in other countries. And I'm talking about countries like India, UK, and others, where even after having passed such a legislation, then we have seen the consequences of the implications of that legislation, and even there have been comments made by prime ministers with regard to that legislation. So we must be very careful. It will take time, it takes, but let us be very cautious about this.
Yes, Madam Speaker, this issue has been debated in the House for more than 20 years. And I've even checked it in Hansard. And today there is an urgency. The urgency is because there are state-owned enterprises where information are not available. which is funded by public funds. So therefore, can I ask the Honorable Prime Minister if he will agree with me that there is an utter need to come quickly with such legislation in the name of transparency and accountability?
Well, Madam Speaker, I think for 20 years it has been urgent to bring this kind of legislation. And for 20 years there have been so many governments. I'm happy that we all have been in government, you know, both MSM, MMM, Labour, PMSD, everybody. And everybody has been addressing these issues. I don't want to take the time of the House to mention, for example, what also the former Prime Minister, Dr. Navin Ramgoolam, what he stated in this very House. In fact, what happened, it was in the Labour Party's program at one time. It was removed because the Prime Minister, the then Prime Minister, stated to this very House that it is so complex that we have preferred to remove it from the government program. Just to show how difficult and how complex this piece of legislation is.
Yes, Madam Speaker, in relation to this project, I have several apprehensions on the viability on such project in such a region. So would the Honourable Minister agree with me that all the stakeholders are found mostly in the capital and in the north of the region? Firstly, the harbour itself is found in Port Louis, and we have seen with the foot and mouth disease what happened when cattle came in and it was contained in the harbour area itself. Now we are talking about building a slaughterhouse inland for Mauritius, and all the major markets are in Port Louis or in the north. Okay. So I would ask the Honourable Minister if he agrees with me and if this will be taken into consideration as well.
Well, Mr. Speaker, as you are aware, land availability is not something that is very easily available for the ministry. And the Wootton area has been designated to be the place to set up this slaughterhouse. Had we had any space available in the harbour region, that would have been probably the most suitable place. But unfortunately, the best place that we could find was at Wootton, and that is why it has been chosen for.
B167.
Madam Speaker, there are different types of projects that are being implemented in Agaliga. The main one concerns the construction of an airstrip of 3 kilometers in length and 45 meters in width, an approach jetty of 199 meters long, and a berthing jetty of 255 meters, and support infrastructure. According to information obtained, the mobilization of manpower, equipment and materials by the contractor, Afghans Infrastructure Limited, started in September 2018 and is still ongoing. Works are expected to start by May 2019 and will be completed in 2 years' time. The works are being carried out, as I have said, by Afghans Infrastructure Limited and are supervised by Rights Limited, the global consultant. In addition, there are a few other projects of lesser scopes, inter alia, a fish landing station, a dispensary, and an office block. On account of the remoteness of Agaliga, the constraints of the procurement procedures, and the likelihood of an exorbitant bid price, should an open advertised bidding exercise be opted for, and should that exercise be successful, consideration is being given to the advisability of entrusting these projects to Afghans Infrastructure Limited. Finally, there is also the project for the construction of 50 housing units by the National Housing Development Company Limited. I have been informed that the NHDC is in the process of enlisting the services of a consultant who will then work on the project description, detailed design, and supervision of works. The contract is expected to be finalized before the end of July 2019.
Yes, Madam Speaker, in relation to those ongoing projects, and answering to a PQ dated 23rd October 2018, a PQ asked by myself. The Honorable Vice Prime Minister informs the House, and I quote, "As far as I know, this project will be implemented, we will be exempted rather from the requirements of an EIA license. As per Honorable Minister Etienne Sinatambu, they will have to submit an EIA report." So, therefore, can I ask the Honorable Vice Prime Minister if this EIA report that was supposed to be submitted since October last year, that is almost 6 months now, has been submitted, and if yes, if she can table a copy of this report.
Well, I understand that an environment management plan has been prepared by RITES to take care of the mitigation measures. So, if need be, I will table it in the House. Yes.
Madam Speaker, there is an urgent need because my next question is in relation to the sewage system in Agaliga. There is no sewage system. It goes in a septic tank, and this is thrown away in the forest, far away from the village. And there is an urgent risk, there is a risk of contamination of boreholes. And the more so that now there are 400 additional Indian workers on the island, the risk is increasing. And I've been in contact as the very representative, constituency number 3 is Agaliga from part of it. I've been in contact with them since this morning. They told me there is a great risk of this issue, so therefore can I relay this to the Honourable Vice Prime Minister to look into this urgent matter.
Madam Speaker, I fully understand I fully agree with Honourable Member. This is being looked at. Well, I must say that this project is of a great magnitude, and it requires a lot of preparation. As I have said, the project is being carried out, I must say, on an island about 1,000 kilometers away from Mauritius. So there are some preparation works. As you can see, groundworks have already started. And this is an indication that we are taking the projects very seriously. So, well, with regard to the status of the sewerage project, I'm informed by the Outer Islands that the Wastewater Management Authority has initially prepared a draft term of reference for the consultancy services for household waste disposal. So this is being looked at. And however, in view of the ongoing projects and future developments, the sewage collection and disposal aspects had to be looked at in a holistic manner.
B168.
Madam Speaker, I am informed by the Central Electricity Board that following amendments to the statutory bodies Accounts and Audit Act, providing for a change in the financial year to end of 30 June instead of 31 December, the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development instructed statutory bodies to prepare accounts for 18 months with effect from 1 January 2016. I'm informed by CEB that it prepared financial statements for the period January 2016 to June 2017 and submitted them to the National Audit Office on 12 October 2017. This was followed by an exchange of correspondence between CEB and the NAO in respect of clarifications required by the NAO. The Directorate of Audit submitted its report on 25 October 2018. I am informed by the CEB that the accounts, together with the annual report, are being printed and will be tabled next month. As regards the accounts for 2017 and 18, CEB has submitted them to the National Audit Office on 22 October 2018. The auditing exercise started on 21 February 2019. The accounts will be tabled together with the annual report as soon as the audit report is issued.
Madam Speaker. This is another good reason why we should have a Freedom of Information Bill. The last audited financial year was 30th June 2017. So it's nearly 2 years. It's nearly 2 years since the year end of CB, 30th of June 2017. And as the Honourable Minister mentioned, the Audit Bureau has given its audit report, audit certificate since October 2018. We are taking 7 months to print an account which has already been signed and made it public. So, will the Honourable Minister see to it that this is done urgently? Because it's not normal for a company, for a public company, to take 2 years to lay its account on the table of National Assembly. And such an important organization.
Well, of course, we must always ensure that stricter time limits are respected. I have myself spoken to the Chief Financial Officer to impart my sense of dissatisfaction with that delay. But he has explained to me certain things. First of all, I believe the Honourable Member himself is an accountant. Once the accounts are printed, are ready, then you need to prepare the annual report. And that takes time because you need to consult so many persons involved in the process, and finally go to different committees and the board, and this is why it has taken all this time. Those are the explanations which I received from the Chief Financial Officer. I have no reason to disbelieve him. He has assured me, even up to a few minutes ago, that he is exercising due diligence to expedite matters. Now we come to other matters. You talk of a year and a half, 2 years. When the new board took over in 2015, the accounts of 2012 had not been done. So they had to work on 2012 first. The accounts of 2013 had not been finalized. And so the accounts of 2014. So when the board took over in 2015, they had to impress on the finance department and on management, the old management, I'm not talking of this management, they had to tell them, get ready with your accounts. And do you know that 2012 was finally, I was going to say finally finalized, finally prepared and completed on 1 September 2015. So now they are speeding up, and now they are going to complete all the operations. They have finished for 2012 and 2015. The Honourable Member will appreciate that for a large body such as this one, we need to be very careful.
Speaker, clearly there's a big problem in CB. Be it last government, be it this government, nothing has changed. Nothing's changed. It's taking more than 2 years to lay audited accounts. And let me beg to differ. I would like to differ with what Honourable Vice Minister just mentioned, that they had to get the audit report, audit certificate to start preparing the annual report. Where on earth you need audit report, audit certificate to prepare annual report? Annual report can be prepared just after year end.
So
you don't need, because it's you who gives the figures to the auditors.
So what is your question?
So my question to the Honourable Minister is that it's high time to look after CB, accounting department, and that things should be changed.
Well, I said I believe the Honourable Member to be an accountant. I still maintain that belief, but I am just a puny lawyer. I've always known that you can't publish an annual report based on figures which have not been audited. I mean, this is a large organization. These are not small companies with small accountants. We've got to be serious. Now, with regard to delay, yes, I've told the honourable member, I've expressed my dissatisfaction. I entirely agree on this. But I have given the circumstances and the explanations of the Chief Financial Officer, and I have no reason to doubt the veracity of his explanations. They had 3 years to catch up, and that is why the delays are ongoing.
B169.
Madam Speaker, the construction of the Metro Express project started in September 2017. Since then, the project has progressed steadily as planned, and we are on track and on time. Many activities are ongoing and have been progressing satisfactorily, such as the site investigations and the surveys, utilities identifications and diversion, design and construction of the substructures and the superstructures, namely the piles, the piers and the girders. Of course, we have also addressed the issue of heavy-duty drainage. The design and build contractor Larsen & Toubro is working simultaneously on more than 32 sites for Phase 1 from Rosehill to Port Louis on this national project. We will agree that this is a very complex infrastructure project, I think the biggest ever undertaken in Mauritius. It comprises several layers of activities such as the infrastructure delivery, operation readiness, capacity building and assurance, all progressing rapidly to ensure operations in September 2019 for Phase 1. Madam Speaker, I'm informed that the train simulator will arrive in May this year for the training of the train captains, who are currently being recruited by the Metro Express Limited. The nerve center of the whole network, the Operations Control Center at Richelieu, will be ready before integrated testing of the light rail vehicles with the trucks, signals and other systems. The trains will start arriving in July for our launch of the service in September. Madam Speaker, as regards to Part A of the question, I'm informed that as at the end of March 2019, for Phase 1 from Rosehill to Port Louis, which comprises of 12.6 kilometers and 7 stations, 70% of the works have already been completed. And for the overall project from Cupid to Port Louis, which is of 26 kilometers and 19 stations, the work progress is 42%. Moreover, I'm informed that utilities identification works for Phase 2 from Cupid to Rosehill are underway. I announced last week in a press conference, Madam Speaker, that aligned with the vision of our Prime Minister, the Metro Express project will cover the stretch from Rosehill to Quatre-Bornes station in advance by 2020 to enable commuters from Quatre-Bornes to be connected to the network. This will be a new landmark in our station. Madam Speaker, as regards to Part B of the question, the Metro Express project is being financed through a grant of USD $275 million and a line of credit of USD $260 million from the Government of India. I'm informed that as of February 2019, the equivalent of 6,649,771 rupees have been paid to the design and build contractor Larsen & Toubro in relation to works carried out. Payment for March is being processed as per contractual obligations, and all payments to the contractor are made after due validation and certification of the works by RITES, the supervising consultant, and overseen by the Singapore Corporation Enterprise. Madam Speaker, as regards to Part C of the question, the construction of the light rail transit system in Mauritius, as I said, is a very complex endeavor and requiring a wide range of specialist expertise. Larsen & Toubro is a renowned contractor that has successfully designed and delivered modern railway systems across the world, and RITES is the supervising contractor to ensure that delivery is done as regards to project objectives. Singapore Corporation Enterprise has prepared the reference design of the system and is advising on the technical aspects of the project management. Metro Express Limited is leading the overall implementation of the project and will operate the LRT system with expert support of the Singapore Mass Transit Rapid Transit System to achieve readiness for the operations. Madam Speaker, I'm informed that as at 11th of April 2019, direct jobs generated by Larsen & Toubro is as follows. Overall workforce, 1,698. Mauritians working on the different sites, 246. Moreover, 32 staff are currently employed by MEL to oversee the project delivery and prepare for the operations. To be ready for operation and maintenance in 2019, Metro Express is in the process of recruiting up to 200 persons. These include Chief Operator and Service, maintenance, managers, trainers, executives, engineers, technicians, supervisors, train captains, customer service stewards, safety managers, ticket inspectors and controllers, and various vacancies are currently being filled and have been advertised in the papers. Madam Speaker, as in other countries, this project is the engine of economic growth and the catalyst for urban regeneration of the 5 cities. And it is expected that a number of indirect jobs through business opportunities to be generated, especially around the stations, will be created as a result of the implementation of the project.
Madam Speaker, we've taken cognizance of the existence of a natural cave in the region of Chebel and Gros Caillou, underneath the region there. And to this effect, I would ask the Honourable Minister, why is it that the EIA, the Environment Impact Assessment, is being kept secret? Why is it that, what is it in it that we are hiding what's in the EIA? And why is it not made public?
I have many times answered this question, Madam Speaker. In fact, some honourable members on the other side of the House have a copy of the EIA. I would... I'm not looking... No. We have said, Madam Speaker, as regards to the environment, that the RFP were prepared by Singapore Corporation Enterprise. There we had the Larsen & Toubro and AFSCON both prepared the environment management plan when they did the bid. And this was again supervised by the Singapore Corporation Enterprise. But we decided in Cabinet to do an EIT report, which we did. The elements of the EIT report have been compared with the EMA, the management plan, have been incorporated in it. As regards to the laying of the document in the table of the National Assembly, I have laid the environment management plan here. But the board of the Metro Express Limited, they, under legal advice, they thought in their wisdom that this document should not be laid at the table of the National Assembly.
Yes, Honourable Aadil Meea.
Yes, Madam Speaker, answering a PQ by myself on 16th October 2018, and in relation to Part C, number of jobs created, the Honourable Minister stated to the House that SC, in order to assess the impacts of Metro Express on the bus system, has been preparing a report. Well, I will quote exactly. The report is being finalized, and in fact will go to Cabinet, and that report, that documents will help us to have all the discussion with the national bus companies. So therefore, can I ask the Honourable Minister if this important document has been finalized, because it's been 8 months now, and can it again lay copy on the table of National Assembly?
A document by SC to assess the impact of the metro on the bus industry. So we are working with the Ministry of Finance to see all the measures to bring along so that there is the perfect integration of the both systems of the most modes of transport. And we have always given the guarantee that as regards to the workers, we see to it that there is no job losses. There are no job losses with the advent of the metro. And we are working with the SC document. Now, this document together goes with another document which we have been working on about the feeder routes, about the new routes that we are going to create to have one integrated system.
Okay.